Okay, everybody, so here we are again. This is Dr. Echols, and today I'm very fortunate to have this young lady with me, April, and she has been having some shoulder and neck issues. So I'm going to walk you through step by step how I would take care of these in my office. And we're going to be using a technique called Applied Kinesiology. We'll be using a lot of muscle testing to kind of help us get to the real root of the problem. And one of the mistakes that people make is they often think that the problem is where the pain is. And that can be a real problem when the person comes in. And they may think that because it hurts right there in their shoulder. So they may think that the problem is right there. But that may or may not be the situation. Oftentimes the problem is coming from the neck or the mid part of their back, and when I fix that area, the problem in the shoulder goes away. And many of you have heard me say before, I've got this beautiful little Winnie dog at home. His name is Yoda, and I explain to my patients kind of lovingly and laughingly that if I accidentally was to step on Yoda's tail, it's the other end of him that barks. So we can't really go by where our body is barking to know whether that's where the trouble is. And that's where Applied Kinesiology just absolutely shines. Before I knew this technique, I didn't have any way of really locating the true source of the problem. I had to just rely on the patients telling me where it hurt, and I would work on that. Sometimes they would get better, but oftentimes if the problem was somewhere else, we might completely miss it. And it could be anywhere else. It could be in your toe. It could be in your hand or your wrist or your gallbladder, or it could be anywhere. And that's one of the beauties about Applied Kinesiology, is that we can actually help locate these problems. So today I'll demonstrate some of that with you on today, and we'll get started with that. So I'd like for you to tell us, you mentioned to me earlier that she was actually lifting a kayak and it kind of hurt her. She's into kayaking. I love kayaking myself, so we're already best buddies because we both got that in common. But she's been having some neck pain, and has it been radiating into your arm?
Yeah, it's been coming down into, it's numbing my hand a little bit sometimes.
Okay.
But it's mostly my neck and the fifth rib down.
Okay. All right, so she's been getting a lot of neck pain, and it's radiating down into her left shoulder, but it's also radiating down into her arm. So that's a real good sign that we've got some nerves that are being disrupted, and that pain travels down along the nerves, and so much so that she's getting some numbness here. And numbness is almost kind of like a partial paralysis, if you want to think about that. I mean, if I was to take her nerve that comes from her neck and I was just to cut it, her whole arm would be paralyzed. But let's say I didn't cut it, but I just put pressure on it. Well, now it won't be paralyzed, but it may go numb or get tingling or hot or cold, or she can't feel it well. So in a way, it's kind of like a step towards that. And what we want to do is get that pressure off of that nerve. And that way the brain signal can now get through there. In school, they taught us that if you put the weight of a dime on a nerve, it will decrease the signal across that nerve by 60%. So any kind of little pressure on that nerve at all is not a good thing. It's going to interfere with your body's ability to function. So that's what chiropractic is all about. It's about increasing your function. And so we're going to do that today. So April, are you ready to get started? Let's do it. Okay. So we mentioned earlier that to be effective in diagnosing and assessing what April's true problem is, we can't just rely on where she points that it hurts. It just doesn't seem to work very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to test different muscles throughout her body and find out which muscles are working and which muscles are not working. When you find a muscle that doesn't work, that actually is not the problem. It's just showing that there is a problem somewhere. And I explain to my patients that a weak muscle is kind of like having a check engine light come on your car. When a check engine light comes on, that light being on is not the problem. It's just telling you that there is a problem. The problem could be anywhere, right? Your gas cap could not be on, or your manifold could, I don't know much about cars, but that could be, something could be wrong there. So we don't really know what the problem is just because the check engine light comes on. We just know that there is a problem. So you take your car to the mechanic and he plugs in the computer and he says, well, that light means that this is bad and this is bad and this is bad. So when we find a weak muscle, we're going to be using muscle testing through applied kinesiology to help us locate all of the reasons why that particular muscle is weak. And we will start correcting those systematically until they're all gone, until they're all done. And then at that point, when we go back and we retest the muscle, it should be strong. And that more than likely, that almost always happens before the patient even leaves the office. So they can come into the office and they can't really move their arm and it kind of hurts to do it and it's real weak. And then when we fix all of the reasons why that has happened, before they leave, that muscle is just locking, it's real strong. And they even say, wow, it doesn't even hurt when I move my arm anymore. And that's how we know that we've really got to the root cause of the problem and actually corrected it. A lot of times people have the experience of going to the chiropractor and they feel good for about a week or two, but then it comes back. And that's one of the reasons is they've actually missed some of the components that caused the problem. They may have gotten one or two, but left 3 or 4 undone, which ends up eventually blowing the circuit and then it not working, and then they have to go in and repeat that over and over and over again. So this is a way that we can actually correct it more fully or more completely. So, and she's already said she's ready to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just check some of the muscles in the upper extremity. There's a list of muscles that I typically go through. They're the main ones. You know, there's hundreds of muscles in the body, and there are ways to test almost all of them. But these are the major ones that really kind of get us into the system and get us going. So, Miss April, I'm going to start off by just checking this muscle here. This is the posterior deltoid. Push back for me real hard. And when she pushes, that muscle just locks into place. And y'all can do that even at home. You can take your arm and you can push on it and you can feel how, if it's healthy, the muscle will lock right in place. Now, if we pushed on that muscle and it wouldn't lock, or it ratcheted down like that and it just wouldn't stay put, that's a problem. And that's what we're actually looking for. I'm not really interested in how strong April is, although I can tell you from just testing that muscle, she's one strong lady. This is actually working fine. Push back. Good. So the next one is the upper trapezius, and we're going to put the arm here. Now you have to be very careful when you're doing these, because if the arm is rotated a little bit, now we've taken the muscle that we wanted to test and we've recruited other muscles so that we don't get a true test. So, and people will try to fool you. These people want you to be strong and they want to do what you're asking. And if they kind of sense that, their body senses that it's not going to be able to work, they'll maybe rotate their arm a little bit so they can recruit other muscles. And the doctor has to be very conscious of that in order to get a valid test. Now push back that way for me. And you can, this one, you feel that, don't you? It just won't lock into place. She's trying as hard as she can, and that muscle just won't lock. So we know we have an upper trapezius problem here. We're also going to go ahead and turn her arm this way, and have her push down to the floor, and that tests the middle trapezius. It's a little bit further down in the back. And then the lower trapezius, push down. And that's real strong. Push down here for me. Very good. And then we'll have you put your ear to your arm. And then I'm going to pull out this way down. And that's working great. Subclavius muscle. Now we'll check the pectoralis by going across. Good. And then push across to here. Good. And then down to here. And those are all good too. The other muscle we're going to check, this is the muscle that stabilizes the entire shoulder girdle. Push down this way. Very good. That's the subscapularis. Push back this way. Very good. Infraspinatus, that's working great. So she can comb her hair without any trouble. Put your hand under your body. Now don't let me pull your elbow up. Keep it down, okay? This is the Teres Major, and hers is real strong. The Teres Major is one of the muscles in what you commonly call the rotator cuff. That's one of them. Now rotate your arm out that way, push out, and that is Teres Minor. It's very strong. No worries there, and push up this way. Okay. So we already know that we've got a problem on this side. So I think we're going to go ahead and just address this one for right now, and we'll see if that doesn't carry over and help this other side as well, because we've got a way of getting into this system with this weak muscle right now. So now this is where the patient needs to kind of be with you. You need to be with the patient here. They need to understand what's going on. So I have them lock this elbow here, and April, I'm going to have you just, I usually don't even have to tell them. As I start to push, they just automatically start to push. You feel like you're doing that? And that's perfect. She's doing it great. We just kind of want a little bit of resistance there. And as I reach up and I touch this affected muscle here, which is the upper trapezius, her arm goes weak. And then we can figure out if from that, is it a muscle that's causing the problem? Is it a bone out of place that's causing it? Is a bone that's fixated or locked in place? Is it a chemical thing? What is causing it? So now we start the actual kind of the diagnosis part. And with her, we're going to come down here and just lock this in. Close your eyes. When I do that, my patients always ask me why I have put their feet together with the eyes open and the eyes closed. It has to do with the nervous system. With your eyes open, we're utilizing the sympathetic nervous system, and when we have them closed, like we're sleeping, we're in the parasympathetic nervous system. So this locks the problem into the body in both parts of the nervous system, so we get a more complete effect or healing. So now that we've done that, let's keep this right here for me again. And I'm just feeling of that muscle. And we've got a point right here that needs to be worked on. So we're going to go here. Now this muscle is going to be a little tender. Is that tender right there? So we're going to hold this point here. This is called a neurolymphatic point. And hers needs a little bit of a tune-up. So as I hold these points, I'm just feeling for pulsing. And at first they won't feel any, and after a while you'll start to feel the pulsing. And it's about that time that the patient will tell you that the tenderness has kind of dissipated or gone away at that point. And it's amazing that this is a really important part of the care, just as important as the typical chiropractic adjustments that you've seen. There may be 5 or 6 things to do on this problem, and if you only do 3 of them, they may get some relief, but the problem may come back. So doing this is really important. And oftentimes the patient will say, when you touched that spot, I just felt my whole body start to relax. And of course that's very important. So now keep your arm there again for me. Keep it like, there you go. Perfect. All right. Okay, now she's showing that she's got a vertebra in her upper back that's causing some of these troubles here. It's actually the T10 vertebra. And so we're going to adjust your upper back. So we've got Miss April on her tummy now. We had to put the face cradle on here so she'd be a little bit more comfortable. In the muscle testing, we found out that this 10th thoracic vertebra here is misplaced. So we're going to make an adjustment in this area. And this area is kind of a tricky area because if you notice the back is humped this way. This is called a kyphosis. It's the curvature that's normal in your back going this way. And then this down here where your hollow of your back is called a lordosis. And there's an area of the spine that transitions from this area to this area. We call it the transitional area, surprisingly enough. And that can be a little bit difficult to adjust in a comfortable way. One of the things I've learned over the years that we can do this to make it, sometimes you'll see a doctor just go straight down on that area. I find that can be a little bit uncomfortable. I know I don't particularly like it. So we go ahead and we have her bend her feet up like this, both of them. And then, April, I'm going to have you take a deep breath for me and then hold it and push against me. Push real hard, just like that. And that makes it a lot more doable for somebody than if you just kind of drop down on there. And that vertebra moved really well. So now we're going to kind of find out where we're at in this whole process. So, April, I'm going to have you just roll on over on your back again for me. It's always a good sign when they do roll over. You know you did pretty good. And we always keep that legs apart for me. And keep your arm right there. You comfy there? Okay, very good. Okay, so in this, there's also something that's called a visceral organ reflex. Muscles can, if they have problems, can also cause problems to reflex back into organs. And organs that have problems can also cause problems in muscles. For instance, a real common one would be right shoulder pain with gallbladder problems. You know, if you have a gallbladder issue, it could really cause right shoulder pain. So this is showing up as a visceral organ reflex, and in this case, we're going to get right here and here, and just hold these points. And her shoulder feels kind of, it's got a little knot up in there. And we're just holding these points. And it takes a little bit of practice to where you get to where you can feel the pulsing of these. And the pulses will actually, at first they won't be present, or they'll be, you know, you'll feel a pulse in one hand and then you'll feel a pulse in the other hand. But eventually, as you hold these, the pulses start to synchronize. And they're going, boom, boom, boom. And that's when we know we've done it. We've got it. And luckily, I think hers are just about there. All right, I hope that's long enough. Let's find out. So keep your arm like that. You always got to encourage the patient to be with you and to keep that arm right there, or you can't do it without them. You need them. Okay, so she also has a vertebra up in her neck out, and she pretty much thought that she did, and she was right. She's got a vertebra that's out of place, so keep that arm there for me. I'm going to reach up here. Turn your head this way. Okay, so when I test to find out about adjusting somebody's neck, I always test to find out which direction we need to adjust it in. And that's really important. Not only to adjust the way to turn the neck, but also which direction to make your adjustment. That can mean the difference between success and failure. Okay, so in the muscle testing, we determined that the third cervical vertebra down needs to actually, it's out of place, it's putting some pressure on nerves, it's shutting off muscles. Those same nerves actually go to organs, right? So the whatever organs those are going to, they're not working as good as they would normally either. You may not be aware of that. You know, if a lot of your organs, if they're working at 50%, you may never even know that they're having a problem. It's only when they're about 80% broken or more that you actually start noticing that there's an issue. So we're going to move that vertebra and get some relief for this young lady. Atta girl, you're doing great, dear. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we've made the adjustment to the third cervical vertebra here. So now we've got April back here on her back again, and we're going to find out if there's anything else that's been causing that muscle to be weak. So give me some resistance there. And there's still some more stuff. So we're going to go looking for it. Okay. I'm just curious, do you take calcium or anything on a regular basis? So nutritional components can be part of these problems, and she's showing that, you know, she could possibly need some calcium. That could be part of her problem. Oftentimes, if we don't have enough calcium, muscles can go into spasm. They just won't work as good. So we're going to just kind of bypass that for right now, because I don't have any calcium to give her, but it might be a good idea. And by the way, don't take calcium carbonate. You don't take calcium carbonate. You might as well go out on the street and eat a rock. It's not going to do anything. You need to have calcium citrate or calcium lactate for it to be absorbable. So now keep that arm there. Good. All right. Now let's see. Bend this knee up for me a little bit. Bend this one. Okay, and it's also showing that part of her shoulder problem is actually due to a problem in her foot. So you may remember I talked to you a little bit earlier that you really can't tell by where the pain is as to where all the different problems are that are, you know, influencing it. So she's got the third metatarsal head, which is those little bones in your feet. One of them is out of place. So we're going to go ahead and adjust that. I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll go back and see where we're at. So now we're set up to adjust her foot. Remember, this foot is just another component of the shoulder problem that we found earlier. Happens to be the third metatarsal, so we can just go down to the third pinky here and come all the way down the head of this metatarsal. It's way down here. And there, I think it went already. Did you feel that? But we're going to go ahead and make that kind of adjustment right there. You can put that down. Okay, so now we've adjusted her foot. We've got her back on her back. And now when we try to do the muscle test, her muscles are all weak now, which in this particular instance is a good thing. It means we've cleared everything out that was causing that to do. Let's check the other side here. This is just a little more thorough. That one's weak too. Matter of fact, all the muscles will go weak just temporarily to let us kind of know that, yeah, you fixed this problem. But we don't actually stop there. We want to go back and we want to recheck the muscle that was weak in the first place to make sure that it is actually strong. And you may remember in the first part of the video, I told you that oftentimes before the patient leaves the office, the muscle that was weak will now go strong, signifying that we've corrected everything that was causing it to go weak in the first place. So you notice that there was a lot of points that we had to stimulate on the body. There was a vertebra in her lower mid-back that needed to be adjusted. There was a vertebra in her neck that needed to be adjusted. There was even one in her foot. So all of these were components of this one shoulder problem. And that's why this technique is so amazing, because it really allows you to figure out all of the reasons why we're having a problem, not leave anything undone. This is what gives these things their staying power, so they don't keep coming back over and over again. Now, all right, Miss April, now push back for me there. Ouch, you're strong. Now, what happened there?
I feel stronger.
A lot stronger, right? You definitely could not hold it there, and now you can. So I hope this helps you. This is a great way that we can find problems. Now, in a real life exam where we would check all of the muscles in throughout her whole body, and then we would go find all the reasons why in her body those muscles didn't work. And wow, what a wonderful boon to your health when you can get that kind of care. So we really thank you for tuning in with us today. We hope you look us up on and do for our future videos. If I can ever be of any help to you, I'm located in Austin, Texas, and you're welcome to just stop by my website, www.jeffechols.com, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. Bye-bye.
We at Wellness Plus specialize in all things health and wellness, ranging from yoga and fitness to massage and ASMR. Whether you are looking to target specific areas of tension or want to enhance your general self-care routine, we provide the tools you need to feel better, look better, and live better. We have courses for every level, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro. Our courses provide a wide range in difficulty to accommodate your evolving flow. Wellness Plus is available on Amazon, which you can stream from your home on your phone, tablet, or TV. Join Wellness Plus today and get your first 7 days free.